Good evening, folks. Welcome to the recap edition of the Banks Account. I am your host, Kareem Banks, and we're basically just going to recap yesterday's NFL action around the National Football League. And again, I give you my thoughts, give you some of the stats that went down, and you let me know you agree, disagree, think I'm a scumbag, whatever the case may be. But let's get right into it. Yesterday, I was 6-5 against the spread. I got screwed in a couple of games. Cincinnati by a half a point and Cleveland by a point and a half. So I was very disappointed there. The Miami game, I mean, my God, who saw that coming? No one predicted that, not even Miami fans. And then, San Francisco turned in a pretty disappointing performance as well to St. Louis. But nevertheless, went 6-5 against the spread. I got one more game tonight. I picked the Colts to win, and again, the Colts are giving up 3 points to the Giants. So the worst I can do is 500, but we'll see what happens. Let's get into it. Let's start out last night. Let's start in Western Pennsylvania, where you saw my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers throttle the Ratbirds from Baltimore. Sent them back to Maryland with an L. What a game last night. Big Ben, I mean, the guy is on fire right now. 6 more touchdown passes. That's 12 over a 2-week period. 25 of 37, 340 yards, 6 TDs, 0 turnovers. It started out sluggish. It looked pretty ugly, in fact, at first. There was a series where he got sacked 3 straight times, but give kudos to the offensive line. They didn't blink. They pulled themselves together, and they protected Ben and kept him pretty much upright for the remainder of the football game, despite a vicious pass rush from the Baltimore Ratbirds. They couldn't really get to Ben after that, and he repeatedly exploited that depleted Baltimore secondary for big play after big play. Antonio Brown, I mean, again, emerged as one of the better receivers in football. He had 11 grabs for $144 and a touchdown. Martavis Bryant, Steeler Nation, we should be excited about young Martavis Bryant. The kid is balling. 5 touchdowns over a 3-game span right now for young Martavis Bryant. He got into the end zone twice last night. 3 catches, 44 yards. Marcus Wheaton got involved, got the big home run pass from Ben. He got into the end zone. Bell and Blunt didn't really do too much, although Blunt kind of settled down the pass rush. If you recall, we started feeding him the rock to sort of slow down that Baltimore pass rush, and that kind of, in my opinion, kind of stabilized the game a little bit. Then the offensive line, so again, they settled down, and Big Ben was able to start picking those guys apart. The defense, what can I say, man? The defense playing so much better. Just letting us know that, no, Dick LeBeau has not lost it. He still knows what he's doing. I mean, we still gave up a lot of yardage. Flacco had over 300 yards, but it didn't stink of big play after big play. I know they hit us early with the touchdown pass, but after that was pretty much it. Secondary players, young players stepping up. Thank God Cortez Allen did not see the field last night. Or at least I didn't see him on there. I saw him on the sidelines, and that's where he belongs, at least for now, until he gets himself together. But again, the defense, the pass rush is starting to come along. James Harrison finding the fountain of youth, balling like it was 2008 out there. Brett Kiesel pushing the pocket. Jason World's involved. I mean, it was just an awesome performance by the Pittsburgh Steelers as we seem like we're starting to really get our stride so we could go on this playoff push. Again, nice win for us. Got a little chippy out there. I thought Baltimore was taking some cheap shots. Especially Suggs. I mean, I know when I looked at it later, he kind of went for his hit, but real time, it really reeked that he was trying to take Blunt's knees out. And again, what's the name? Taking a shot at our quarterback, Upshaw, I believe his name. I mean, they were trying to hurt him. They were trying to punk him. But they got to understand that we will not be punked. Under no circumstances will we be punked, especially in our own building. So again, Pittsburgh taking care of the Ratbirds and sending their asses back to Maryland with a loss. Maybe we'll see them again in the playoffs. Maybe. That would be something. Anyway, nice win for our guys. Let's move on. Oh, by the way, retired Joe Green's jersey last night, and I am wearing the commemorative Joe Green jersey in his honor, by the way. The great Joe Green. Mean Joe Green. All right, let's move on. We saw the San Diego Chargers travel out to Miami, and man, they got smoked, 37-0. Listen, Miami, the Dolphins quietly have been playing some really good ball. I mean, their defense is playing well. Ryan Tannehill, if you recall, a couple weeks back, he was struggling, and Joe Philbin kind of hinted, sort of, it might be, switching quarterbacks. And Mr. Tannehill has really responded. He's efficient with the football, 24-34, 288, 3 TDs for young Ryan Tannehill. Phillip Rivers absolutely stunk the joint up. 12 of 23, a buck 38, 3 TDs. He actually got hurt. Went out. I think he hurt his hand of some sort. I don't think it's serious, but they got a bye. Then they got Oakland coming up, so hopefully he'll sort of rest up and get himself together. The Chargers, I mean, they've lost 3 straight now. They need to pull themselves together, or else they're going to find themselves out of that race with the Denver Broncos, because you can't lose too many games playing in the division with the Denver Broncos. But again, what more can I say about the Dolphins? I mean, other than Tannehill, I mean, they got a bunch of guys on their team. Charles Clay, Mike Wallace. He came over from Pittsburgh. I mean, these guys are really, really gelling as a unit, and they're playing some really good football. They are not going to be an easy team, coming down the stretch to defeat. The kicker, the defense. Like I said, the defense is playing well. What more can you say? Kudos to the Miami Dolphins as they improve to 5-3 on the season. Let's take a step over to, let's go to Houston, where we saw the Philadelphia Eagles knock off the Houston Texans. Now, the Texans were getting, if I can recall, looks like 1.5 in this game at home. What's the Eagles quarterback? Slipped my mind. Nick Foles. Nick Foles got hurt. Mark Sanchez came in and saved the day for the Houston Texans. He actually played well. I know the Jets kind of wish they had Sanchez again. Take a look at Sanchez's numbers. He was 15 of 22 for 202, 2 touchdowns. LaShawn McCoy, 23 carries, a buck 17. But again, like I said, the week before they dropped back 62 times, they slowed it down a little bit. I said, Chip Kelly, you got to tone that down a little bit. And they fed Shady McCoy to rock. He had averaged over 5 yards a carry, which is solid. Jeremy Maclin, he had a couple big plays out there. He had a buck 58 receiving yards. Deshaun Foster, I think he hurt his groin in that football game. And that kind of hurt the balance of the Texans' offense. Then they had to sort of rely on Fitzpatrick. And, you put the ball into the hands of Ryan Fitzpatrick, good things, bad things usually happen. But he wasn't awful yesterday. Philly was just a better team. But the Texans, they'll pull themselves together. I still don't think Fitzpatrick is the long-term answer for Houston. I think they got to improve at the quarterback position. They got some playmakers. Andre Johnson's kind of in the twilight of his career, but he's still effective. DeAndre Hopkins is really emerging into a really good receiver. And, of course, Arian Foster, he's a solid back. Alfred Blue, They got talent, and of course, we know what they can do on defense. They got a pretty good defense led by Mr. J.J. Watt. But Houston, I think they got to get better play out of their quarterback position to be a real serious contender over in that AFC South, especially when you got Andrew Luck, young Andrew Luck out there in your division. But the Eagles take care of things. They get the win. They improve to 6-2 with a 31-21 win over the Houston Texans. Good job for the Eagles. For the Eagle, what do they call them? Bird Gang it is, right? Good job for the Bird Gang out there. Philadelphia Eagles get the win. Let's move to Dallas. We saw the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals, I actually picked them to win yesterday. They were getting, actually, they were getting 3.5 against Arizona. I didn't think, against Dallas, I'm sorry. I didn't think they'd need it. I thought they would win outright also. Carson Palmer, since his return has really injected life into that Cardinals offense. I mean, it was 22 of 34, 249 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He did have the one pick. Andre Ellington, 21 carries to keep the balance on the offense. But for Dallas, on the flip side of it, Brandon Wheaton, I mean, he was 18 of 33, $183, 2 picks. He did have the late touchdown pass when the game was pretty much decided. But for all you Dallas fans, for years, I've been hearing you guys bitch and complain about Tony Romo and how he's always turning ball over in crucial moments. And you want to find a replacement for Tony Romo, and you hate him and this and that. Not all that. In fairness, not all Dallas fans, not all, but a good chunk of them are Tony Romo haters. Well, you see what you're getting a glimpse of life, what life could be without Tony Romo. It ain't too pretty. All right, it ain't too pretty. You better hope he can get back. I mean, a back injury is nothing to play around with, but you better hope that Tony Romo can get back. Because Brandon Wheaton, I don't know. Maybe he needs a little more time with the first team. I don't know. But he didn't get the job done. DeMarco Murray, only 79 yards on the ground. The Cardinals, my friends, are for real. The Cardinals are for real. The only problem I have, I hope they're not peaking at the wrong time. You want to play your best football December, January, not necessarily September, October. I just hope that they haven't peaked at the wrong time, but the Cardinals are for real. Like I said on previous casts, they're not going to be an easy out, especially if you got to go down in the desert and play those guys. So good job for the Arizona Cardinals. They get the W. They improve to 7-1, kind of distancing, putting some distance in that NFC West. Speaking of the NFC West, let's go out to San Francisco for the moment, where we saw the San Francisco 49ers drop a 13-10 decision to the St. Louis Rams. This was an absolutely terrible loss by the 49ers. Now, nothing against St. Louis, but they had no business going into San Francisco and winning that game. Absolutely none. But yet they did. I mean, good job to them. Jeff Fisher, that just lets you know Jeff Fisher has not lost his football team. They're still going to play hard, especially against a division opponent. San Francisco now 4-4 in the division. 4-4. Kaepernick 22 of 33, 237, 1 touchdown. Frank Gore 14 for 49. They didn't feed Gore enough, in my opinion. They gotta feed their horse. Feed that man. Feed him. Just feed him. Bolden, Austin Davis, pedestrian numbers, 13 of 24, $105, 2 interceptions. Like I said, the Rams had no business winning that game. But they got 8 sacks on the day. And for this is a team that I don't think they had more than 8 sacks all year. I'm being rhetorical, of course, but the Rams' pass rush had been non-existent through most of the season, but yesterday it just came alive. 8 sacks. Kaepernick was never really got into any kind of rhythm. He was never comfortable back there. He fumbled at the end. Again, they should have fed Gore the pill. Feed him. But nevertheless, San Francisco drops a tough decision, 13-10. That loss is going to hurt them late in the season. Out in Kansas City, we saw the Kansas City Chiefs, another solid football team. Kansas City take on the hapless New York Jets. Listen, it's tough times in New York right now. The Jets are struggling. They kept this game a little bit closer than I thought it would. They actually had an opportunity in the fourth quarter, to try to, at least get this thing closer, down the stretch. It just didn't happen. Alex Smith threw for $199, 2 touchdowns. Michael Vick, pedestrian numbers, 21, 28, $196, and he threw a touchdown. Most importantly, he didn't turn the ball over. I don't think he turned the ball over. But again, the Jets, they got Percy Harvin involved. It's almost like they're kind of force-feeding that issue to try to justify that trade. Or maybe they're just trying to find out what the man can do to see if he fits into their future plans. I don't know, but things just aren't looking good for the New York Jets. We come into the Meadowlands this Sunday, by the way. So the Jets are 1-8 now. They're going to go to 1-9 after next week, after we come in there and thrash them. Could be a tough December for Rex Ryan and company. Let's move on. Let's go to Minnesota, where we saw the Minnesota Vikings knock off the Washington Redskins. RG3's return. We saw him running around out there. He was doing some good things. 18 of 28, 251, a touchdown. But Teddy Bridgewater engineered a late drive in the fourth quarter to propel the Vikes to victory. 26 of 42, 268. Like I said, give that man some time. I think you got something special in Teddy Bridgewater. If you could protect him and let him, feel his way through the terrain of the National Football League, I think you got something special out there in Minnesota and Teddy Bridgewater. Hopefully, Adrian Peterson will come back, and you got something going. Just kind of keep it tight. They're 4-5. Just try to keep things within striking distance come December, and you might be able to make a run late in the season. Washington, on the other hand, they went out to Dallas, got the win over the Cowboys, but they couldn't follow it up. They couldn't follow it up. They couldn't follow it up with another winnable game. And this was a winnable game. Alfred Morris got into the end zone a couple times. Deshaun Jackson, he led them in receiving, 120 yards, touchdown. But again, it was the failure of the Redskins defense late in the fourth quarter to secure the win. So kudos to the Minnesota Vikings. They get the W. Who else we got? We got the Cleveland Browns. We talked earlier how they screwed me, 1.5. Tampa Bay almost won this game. They had the football late in the fourth quarter with an opportunity to pull it off. Hoyer, 21 of 34, 300 yards, a couple touchdowns. Like Lovie Smith said during the post-game interview, he said, we're just not a good football team right now. And they're not. It's still amazing to me how we lost to those guys, but that's almost like a lifetime ago. I just want to put that out of my head. Bobby Rainey, he pounded the rock, 19 carries, 87 yards, but again, the Bucs had an opportunity to win this game. They didn't get it done. Cleveland got the win, 5-3, setting up for a big matchup, Battle of Ohio against Cincinnati on Thursday night when they go to the Jungle. I believe they're going to the Jungle to take on the Bengals. That's going to be a big AFC North clash on Thursday night. Again, the Browns get the W 22-17. They improve to 5-3. We got the aforementioned Cincinnati Bengals. They knocked off the Jacksonville Jaguars, but again, they screwed me. I took the Bengals, given 10.5. They won by 10. I lost by half a point. Listen, again, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they don't have too much talent there. Although Denard Robinson is sort of emerging as a really good as a featured back out there. Bortles, he's sort of feeling his way through the league. 22 of 33, 247. He did have the one pick. But the one thing, Jacksonville is playing hard for their coach. They're playing hard for their coach, even though their record is what it is. The coach has not lost the locker room, and that's what's really important because they actually played Cincinnati pretty tough in this game. They got a shot in the arm yesterday. The Bengals. They got A.J. Green back. He got into the end zone. I think he only had three catches yesterday, but he did get into the end zone. Andy Dalton, 19 of 33, 233, 2 TDs, but 2 picks. Jeremy Hill, the talk of the game, 24 carries, $154, and he got into the end zone. Have I missed anyone? I think that's pretty. How did I miss this one? We talked about. Actually, there are 2 more games. The Denver Broncos. They went up to Foxborough and got. Foxborough's a tough place to play. It was snowing. Not that it affected the field or the game too much. I know I'm bad on time. But listen, Tom Brady he's just laser sharp right now. He's threw for 333, 4 touchdowns. New England was pretty much in control. I watched most of this game. They were in control of this game pretty much from start to finish. At no point did you feel, if you're a Patriots fan, did you feel threatened by Denver, which is very, very surprising. Manning, for some reason, whenever he sees Belichick across the aisle there, the guy just kind of, I don't know. Even though you look at his numbers, 34 of 57 for 438, he was never really in a rhythm, a Peyton Manning rhythm, where he gets out there, calling things out, and he just never really got into a real solid rhythm. And I guess that's because of the Patriots defense. They kind of kept them off balance. He didn't really command the game the way he normally does. Again, like I said, 438 yards, 2 TDs, but he threw 2 picks. Again, at no point in this game, at least in my opinion, did you feel threatened as a Patriots fan? I'm sure we may see this matchup one more time this season. Probably in the postseason. Possibly, maybe, we'll see. But nevertheless, the Patriots improved to 7-2. Denver 6-2. They dropped to 6-2. Kudos to the New England Patriots as they knock off the Denver Broncos. And out in Seattle, the Seattle Seahawks took care of the struggling Oakland Raiders. Listen, we already know the situation in Oakland is very bleak. They're just void of any light right now. Although they played the Seahawks well. They got some Norris points with the blocked field goal. McFadden, 13 carries, 20 yards. That's just tough. They're running up against a tough defensive line out there in Seattle. Carr, 24-41, a $194, 2 touchdown passes. Tony Sproul's got a lot of work to do out in Oakland. Again, Carr, 2 interceptions. Russell Wilson, efficient. Well, not really too efficient. 17 of 35, 171, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Marshawn Lynch, did y'all see that run Marshawn Lynch did? That guy's a beast. I think they're going to get rid of him, but that guy's a beast, man. If he just clean up his attitude, man, that dude is just a monster. But anyway, Seattle Seahawks improved to 5-3. The Raiders dropped to 0-8. Ugh, that's ugly. Ugly, 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 ugly. Al Davis is spinning in his grave right now, looking at what's going on in Oakland. So that's really it. We got one more game tonight. Colts and the Giants getting together right here at the Meadowlands, MetLife Stadium. Again, I took the Colts. I gave the 3. Hopefully, I can improve to 7-5. So we will see you this weekend with the when I give you my picks for Week 10. This is the Banks account. I am Kareem Banks, signing off.